Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Dhena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye. Today we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 15. Today's verse is text number 34. You know, you should get an external speaker today for this. You can get a Bluetooth speaker like by Bose, and if you put it there, then it'd be like 5 times louder. I'm just saying. Amazon Prime. Be here in an hour. Evam. In this way. Tanayoni. Abhyasyata. Of the person practicing this yoga system. Chittam. The heart. Harto. Kalena. In due course of time. Alpiyasa. Very shortly. Yate. Of the person practicing yoga. Anisham. Without cessation. Yate. Of the person practicing yoga. Oh, sorry. Nirvanam. Purification from all material contamination. Yati. Reaches. Anindana. Without flame or smoke. Vanivat. Like a fire. Hinoyoni. Translation: when the yogi regularly practices in this way, in a short time, his heart becomes fixed and free from disturbance, like a fire without flames or smoke. Evam abhyasyataschitam kalena piyasayate anisham tasya nirvanam yatyanindhana vanivat. Evam abhyasyataschitam kalena piyasayate anisham tasya nirvanam yatyanindhanan vanivat. Vaishnavis. Evam abhyasyataschitam kalena piyasayate anisam tasya nirvanam yat yanindhanavaniva. Purport. Nirvana means the cessation of all material desires. Sometimes desirelessness is understood to imply an end to the workings of the mind, but this is not possible. The living entity has senses, and if the senses stopped working, the living entity would no longer be a living entity. He would be exactly like stone or wood. This is not possible. Because he is living, he is nitya and chaitana, eternally sentient. For those who are not very advanced, the practice of yoga is recommended in order to stop the mind from being agitated by material desires. But if one fixes his mind on the lotus feet of Krishna, his mind naturally becomes peaceful very soon. This peace is described in Bhagavad Gita 5:29. Bhuktaram yagyatapasam sarvalokam maheshwaram suridam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantim richati. If one can understand Krishna as the supreme enjoyer, the supreme proprietor of everything, and the supreme friend of everyone, one is established in peace and is free from material agitation. However, for one who cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the practice of yoga is recommended. Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. The sages at Naimisaranya listened to Sutta Goswami and asked him, they asked him about the most efficient means for practicing yoga in the Kali Yuga. Yes, you can have a do-over. They wanted to know what is the best means in this present age for practicing yoga. You better bring the mic, maybe she can't hear me. because people are very slow for self-realization in the age of Kali Yuga. Sutta Goswami said, in the age of Kali, people are always disturbed. And they're slow in taking to the practice of Krishna consciousness. Actually, it's the sages at Nagasaranya. Prayanava Paisha Shabya Kalabasami Nugajana. Mostly, in this age of Kali, people are very slow. Manda. Their lives are generally very short. Ayusha means the lifespan. Prayanava Paisha Opa, it's very small lifespan. And Sumanda Matayo means they have really bad ideas. Their opinions about things are really, really stupid. Manda Sumanda Matayo Manda Bhagya Hipadritaha. And they're unlucky. They don't have any fortune. So what should one do? And they said also there's many scriptures. Burini buri karmani shotavyani vibhagasha tasadyo trayat saram samudrita manishaya bruhi bhadraya bhutanam yena ma suprasidati. They said there's so many scriptures and so many ideas about what to do. So please tell us, what is the most important thing? What's the saram, the cream of all the teachings? So that by practicing that, yena ma suprasidati, that one could actually feel satisfaction. And in answering that question, Sutta Goswami says, Tasmad ekena manasa bhagavan sattvatam pati shrotavya kirtitavyaste dhyaya pujaste nityada. That one should give one's full attention, one-pointed attention to doing bhakti. Ekena manasa means you can put your mind in one place. Bhagavan Sattvatam Pati. You can put it on the Lord Krishna, who's the protector of the devotees. He's the master, the Lord of the devotees. And then Shrotavya, you should hear about him. Kirtitavyas, you should chant about him. Dhyaya, you should meditate on him. Pujas, you should do worship. And nityada, how frequently should you do it? Constantly. Nityada. But our acharyas, namely Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, have said that nityada for beginners, meaning you have to do your bhajan constantly, might be a little impractical. Because if you tell people who are starting bhakti that you have to do this 24 hours a day, they may become discouraged. Therefore, they said it means at least once a day. And in this verse today, we have this very important word, abhyasyatash, which means of the person practicing the yoga system, abhyasa. It has to be done regularly.
このことは毎日しなければいけません。
You can't have any gaps.
私たちはそれをやめることができません。
Means don't miss a day.
ということはそれをやめてはいけない。
And don't miss doing your rounds.
そしてあなたが通学することを逃してはいけない。
Don't miss reading or hearing the Bhagavatam.
バガバタムを読んで聞くことを止めてはいけない。
You have to have a regular daily program to accommodate these practices.
そしてこのようなことを毎日やってこれを毎日の習慣となるようにしなければいけません。
Otherwise, all you get is Kali Yuga, 24 hours a day.
そうでなければ私たちはカリユガの中に24時間生きていますから。
And so you can start small, like with a wedge. There's a small end and a big end.
私たちは小さなことから始められますけれども、小さなことから大きなことへと育っていきます。
And if you push the small part of the wedge, it can enter a very tight spot.
で、非常に小さなところから入っていけば、それが徐々に
Like someone might say, I'm so busy that all I have is 5 minutes a day to do my bhajan.
非常に私は忙しいという人がいますけれども、私はそのような人に5分間だけバジャンをしなさいと言います。
Well, don't worry, because if you use those 5 minutes for tasmat ekena manasa, you fix your mind for 5 minutes at least in your practice of bhakti, then it'll start to open a space for you.
もし、たった5分だけ1日、バクティのために自分の時間を作れば、そうすればマインドがだんだんと拡大していきます。
Because as one of my godbrothers likes to say, it's not time that we lack, it's taste.
で、それは時間ではなく、味わいであると言っています。
And the mind often says that bhajan isn't fun, it doesn't taste good, I'm not interested.
で、よく言うんですけれども、バジャンはそんなに、楽しくはない、またその味わいのない。
But most people find the minute they start chanting or hearing, then they realize that the mind was telling them a falsehood.
で、しかし、それを始めるや否や、ほとんどの人はそれをいろいろと感じています。
And isn't it, don't you find that when you sit down, for instance, with the Bhagavad Gita, that you don't want to get back up again? Because you think, this is actually really interesting.
で、そこへ座ってそしてバガバタギータを読んでいって、そうすると何かが分かってきます。非常に面白いことであります。
And 5 minutes can become 10 or 15 or an hour.
で、それが5分から10分になって、それが15分で1時間に変わってきます。
So the point in this verse is that one should have a regular practice.
ですから、この説で分かることは、私たちは毎日修練しなければいけないということです。
And the point I'm making is, don't neglect to do what you can do, even though you can't do everything you want to do.
あなたが何かしたいと思っていても、あなたができないことはやらないでください。
This idea that I have to be perfect, otherwise I won't do anything.
で、もし自分が完全にしなければいけないと思ったら何もできません。
In the long life that hopefully everyone will live, there are a lot of ups and downs.
で、私たちがみんな
She's good, she
生活
understands
している
everything.
のは間違った方向の生活であるかもしれません。
And sometimes we'll find that we may, for some reason or another, have been distracted from our practice of devotional service.
で、私たちは献身奉仕をしているうちに、そこでどういうわけか何かいろいろなことで悩んでいることがあるかもしれません。
Or someone might just slip up and, not be able to follow it all for some time.
で、ある人はその全てのいろいろなルールものを全部守ることができないという人がいるかもしれません。
Which is not recommended.
だからそういう時はあまり推奨するべきではありません。
But it happens.
何が起こるでしょうか。
And therefore, one should know how to get started again.
私たちはまた再び始めなければいけないことを知らなければいけません。
And then it's okay just to start back up again and keep going.
でまた戻っていってまたそこからスタートする。それは大丈夫です。
For instance, in the Bhagavatam, Sapadamulam Vajata Priyasya Tyaktanya Bhavasa Hare Priyeshaha Vikarma Yachchot Patitam Katanchit Tunoti Sarvam Hridisani Vishtaha. Bhagavatam says that if somehow or other one falls down from one's practice of devotional service,
でバーガタって言っています。どういうわけか私がこの奉仕から落ちてしまった。
which oftentimes happens from an anartha that arises within the heart.
でこのようなことはよく私たちにも起こってきます。
Anarthas can float up from an unknown place, from a past lifetime,
過去のためにその離れたものがどういうわけか私たちの心に流れてやってくるんです。
and then all of a sudden somebody who is honestly going on with their practice of bhakti, they might be confronted with some bad habit.
で突然そのようなことがやってきた時に、それは私たちは悪い習慣を持っていたからだと思います。
And it may come in the form of vikarma, or one does something against the principles.
でそれはビカーナで原則に反することです。
So, in this verse, who spoke this verse? Navina? Sopadamulam vajata priyasya. Could you look it up, please?
この説で言われていることを
Sapadamulam vajata priyasya. So then, the verse, and we're looking who said this, I want to be sure, that one should then continue the practice of devotional service as the means to become reformed.
でその私たちのこのバクというものが完成とかね、修正されるまで私たちは修練をしなければいけません。
Because the devotees are very dear to Krishna.
というのは、ディボーティーは非常にクリシュナに愛されているからです。
And the direct process of hearing and chanting is the means for reforming oneself.
そして私たちがチャンティングをすること、それは直接に主と関わることであって、そのことによって私たちは改善されていきます。
So don't become morose
その人が
or overly disappointed. The electricity went off.
Which canto?
11. We lost Chaitanya Mangal.
Oh, she's
Oh.
います。
Okay. Tyaktanya bhavasa hare priyeshaha vikarma yashot patitam katanjit tunoti sarvam hridisani vishta. Because Krishna knows that you're trying. He's there within the heart.
クリシュナは私たちが頑張っているということを知っています。クリシュナは私たちのハートの中にいらっしゃいますから。
And he helps to reform the person. So, Prabhupada mentions here the verse Bhaktaram Jagatapasam, which gives three aspects that
3つの要素があります。
which require our attention.
最初は非常に集中すること。
And that's first is that Krishna is the enjoyer.
そしてクリシュナがエンジョイヤー、享楽者であること。
And Prahlad Maharaj gave this principle in his prayers that if you can understand that by pleasing Krishna's senses, then you'll automatically become pleased. Then you've got a successful formula for a happy life.
でプララマハラジャは言っています。クリシュナの喜びのために私たちが奉仕をしてクリシュナの感覚を喜ばせれば私たちも自動的に喜ぶようになる。
He
それ
said,
が私たちが
when you-
改善するための方法です。
you decorate your face and you look in the mirror, you'll see the mirror has the same decoration, the reflection.
顔をきれいに装飾すれば、その鏡の中の顔というものもきれいに飾られています。
We're like reflections of Krishna.
それはちょうどクリシュナの反映と同じです。
And if we decorate Krishna, if we please Krishna's senses, then we naturally become decorated and pleased.
クリシュナをきれいに飾って、そしてクリシュナを喜ばせれば、私たちの感覚も同じように、反射のように私たちの感覚も喜んできます。
And the second is to not claim proprietorship over anything. Just everything belongs to Krishna.
で、2番目のこととしては、すべてのことをクリシュナのために、全部そのクリシュナのためにしてしまうことです。
And it's a revelation that those who give everything to Krishna actually become the wealthiest and most well-adjusted people in the world.
で、クリシュナのために全てを捧げる人がこの世界の中で最も幸福な人、最も裕福な人になることができると言っています。
And then the third thing is that Krishna is the best friend.
そして第3番目はクリシュナが最高の友達であるということです。
He's so friendly that he travels in the heart of every living entity and oversees their movements from one body to the next and fulfills their desires.
で、クリシュナは非常に友好的でありますから、私たちも全てのもののハートの中にいて、そして全てを観察して次に何が起こるかというのを見ていらっしゃいます。
And especially if one becomes a devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
特にシーチャイタニア・マハプラブのリボートになると、
then one can become easily successful.
その人は非常に簡単に成功を手に入れることができます。
In the story of Gopinath Patanyayaka in the Chaitanya Charitamrita,
チャイタニチャイタブリタのゴピナタナヤタの話があります。
Gopinath was working for the government.
ゴピナは政府のために働いていました。
He was one of the sons of Bhavananda Roy.
彼はババーナボーイの息子の一人でした。
And all of the sons of Bhavananda Roy were very dear to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, including Ramananda Roy.
で、彼の息子たちすべてがシーチャイタニアの弟子になりました。
And the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita tells how Gopinath Patanyayaka had been collecting taxes for the government.
で、ゴピナタチャリアは、政府に対する、税金というものをちょっと行っていました。
But it appears that he was taking some of the tax money that was meant for the government and he was spending it for his own purposes.
で、その税金というものを自分のために少し取っておきました。
So someone brought this to the attention of the king, Maharaj Prataparudra.
そして、ある人が王様にそのことを言いました。
And the son of the king said, he's stealing. He has a debt to us now.
そして、王様の息子が盗んだ人は死ななければいけない。
And the king said, you can use whatever means to get the payment from Gopinath Patanyayaka.
で、その時に、ゴピナタのその、痛みというものを与
So,
えるためにどのような道具を使うでしょうか。
so the son of the king, the prince, I'll call him, went and asked Gopinath for the money.
で、王の息子、王子がゴピナタに
And Gopinath had
言い
some
ました。
very nice horses.
で、それは非常に良い言葉です。
And he offered them to the prince as payment for his debt.
で、それは友達として as debt
To pay him back. He had a debt. He needed to pay back, so he wanted to pay with the horses.
そして、そのお金を戻すようにと。
But the prince offered him a low price for these very valuable horses.
そして、王子は非常に高価なものを安い値段で与えました。
And then Gopinath Patanyayaka said something insulting to the prince.
その時にゴピナタは王子に対して何か侮辱的な言葉を言いました。
Because the prince had he had a idiosyncrasy, he had a tick. So in his neck, he would involuntarily turn his neck and look up at the sky like this.
でその王子というものはその首のところに何かこう癖みたいな病気なものがあって今私がワイセシカプレモのなさったりとかあるような。
And Gopinath said, "My horses are worth more because they don't go like this."
でゴミナと言いました。私の馬はもっと欲しがっている。もっと彼らは悪いです。
And this was a big insult to the prince.
でこれはまたその王子をさらに侮辱しました。
So he took Gopinath Patnayaka and he put him on this place called the Chunga.
で彼はゴミナとチャンガと呼ばれるところへ置きました。
You had to go up a big ladder, and there was a platform with a hole in it, and underneath the hole there were swords in the ground pointing straight up.
でそれははしごのようなもので、そのはしごのところに下の方には何か剣のようなものが置かれています。
Sometimes, apparently, they would execute somebody by pushing them through the hole, and they would land on the swords, and this is called the Chunga.
そして誰かがそのはしごを登っているときに押してしまうと落ちてしまって剣の上に体が落ちてしまいます。
So now Gopinath was up on the Chunga, and he was chanting Hare Krishna.
ゴミナとチャンカを見ました。そしてハレクリシナとなりました。
And some of the devotees went to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they said, "My Lord, your devotee, Gopinath Patnayaka, has been put on the Chunga and is set to be executed."
でチャイタニマハプラブのディボティがチャイタニに言いました。ゴピナタ大学がチャンガの上に置かれていると。
And Mahaprabhu said, "What was his offense?"
マハプラブは言いました。それは侮辱だよ。
And they replied that he has been taking money from the government because he's collecting taxes, but he keeps some for himself and spends it for his own purposes.
で彼は政府のお金を取って税金を取ってしまって、そしてそれを自分のために全部じゃないんですけれど、それ自分のために使おうとしたから。
And Mahaprabhu said, "I'm a sannyasi. I'm trying to peacefully do my bhajan here, and you're coming and bothering me with these political matters."
でチャイタニマハプラブをおっしゃいました。私はサニヤシだ。私はバジャンをやってる。君たちの向こうへやってきて、私の心を乱している。
So if you keep bothering me with these points, then I'll have to go somewhere else.
で彼はそのことを言って私はどこか他の場所へ行かなければならないと言いました。
So there was a lot of tension because everyone saw Gopinath was on the Chunga. He could be pushed off in any minute.
でそこには緊張がありました。ゴピナタがそのチャンガの上に置かれて、そして誰かが彼に押しました。
And meanwhile, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't want to hear about it. He said, "I'll leave if you keep telling me these things."
でその間にチャイタニマハプラブがそのことを聞いて、そして
And so then someone went to King Prachaparuja and told him that this is the situation. Gopinath has been placed on the Chunga by your order, and he's going to be killed.
でマハプラブにその弟子が言ったことは、これはゴピナタチャンカが受けなければいけないことで、今ゴピナタはチャンカの上に置かれていて、
And the king said,
そこから押し出されようとしていると言いました。
I didn't say to execute him. I just said to use whatever means possible to get the money back. We just want the money back that he stole from the government.
で私は何も言えないけれども、ただ政府にお金を戻せばいいんだと言いました。
And so he told the prince to release him from the Chunga and to give him a fair price for his horses.
そして王子は彼をチャンガから離して自由にして、そして彼にその理由を言い
And they told the king that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very disturbed by all this because they've been interrupting him, telling him to fix the situation, but he doesn't want to have anything to do with it.
で、王子は王に言いました。チャイタニヤマハプラブがこのことを聞いていつもに心が乱されてしまったとおっしゃっています。
So the king said, "You double Gopinath's salary. Give him twice what he was making before."
あなたはゴピナータを2度も
Double his salary.
ダブルのサラリーにしますからって王様が言ったんです。
ダブルのサラリー
ほら2倍のね給料にするから。
をサラリーね
Salary. Like a salary man.
給料を2倍にしますと言って
and he said also give him a promotion. He got a special chadar that he'd wear, that some special chadar that shows that you're promoted to a higher level.
そしてまた彼に、特別の贈り物をしました。それは少し高い地位を表すものです。
And so Gopinath was released from the Changa, his salary was doubled, and he got a promotion.
でそこでゴピナータはチャンガからも解放され、さらにも給料も2倍になって、
And when he went to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu chastised him and said, "You no longer steal from the government. You do your job honestly."
でそこで彼はチャイタニヤマハプラブのところへ行きました。チャイタニヤマハプラブは彼に言いました。お金を受け取ってはいけない。
And the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Kaviraj Goswami, says, this is an example of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy.
このチャイタニヤに書かれていることなんですけれども、このようなことがチャイタニヤマハプラブの慈悲です。
Even though he was not personally involved in the transaction.
で彼は従業自身がそのようないろいろなことをやるってことには巻き込まれてはいらっしゃいませんけれども、
Everything came out successful.
で彼がやるすべてのことは成功になっているということです。
And therefore Kaviraj Goswami says that Mahaprabhu's mercy acts automatically.
で、カビラダ・レイは言っています。マハプラブの慈悲というものは自動的になされる。
So we heard yesterday about how merciful Lord Krishna is.
昨日はクリシュナがどんなに慈悲深いかということについて話をしました。
And we discussed how Putana, even though she came to kill Krishna, she was given the highest benediction, became an eternal associate in the spiritual world.
で、プータナはクリシュナを殺そうとしましたけれども、プータナは慈悲をもらって、そして精神世界に戻ってきました。
And in this story we hear how those who are devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the mercy of Lord Chaitanya acts automatically in their lives.
この話はチャイタニヤマハプラブを信じる人、チャイタニヤマハプラブの献身者は自動的にチャイタニヤマハプラブの慈悲を得るということを意味しています。
So Krishna is Suritam Sarvabhutanam, he's the best friend of all living entities.
そしてクリシュナは私たちに最高の友である。
But Mahaprabhu is Namo Mahavananyaya avatar. He's the most merciful, magnanimous of all the avatars of Krishna.
チャイタニヤマハプラブはすべてのアバターの中で最も寛大で最も慈悲深い人である。
So in the short life that we have in this disturbing age of Kali Yuga,
私たちはこのカリユガに生きていますから、私たちの人生は非常に短いです。
the smartest thing one can do
最も小さいこと私たちができることは
is become a devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
私たちがチャイタニヤマハプラブのディボーティになることができることです。
And even if you don't know anything, if you can't learn anything, you don't know how to cook, you can't dance properly,
何でもできますし、そしてまたダンスを参加することもできます。
if you just become a devotee of Lord Chaitanya,
ただ、シュチャイタニヤの献身者になればいいです。
and to the best of your ability, try to serve him.
そうすれば私たちはそのこれからの知識を
Become a das. Do menial service for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
そしてジャイタニア・マハプラブのおっしゃることをしています。
Hey, no eating crackers or whatever you're doing during the...
マドさん、
There's an electrical storm going on at your house. Please mute your microphone.
マドさん、
Okay, it's over.
はい、終わりました。
So, if you become a servant of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then naturally you'll enter into the pastimes of Radha Krishna and Vrindavan.
ジャイタニア・マハプラブのディボーティになれば、私たちはブリンダーバンのブリンダーバンの中に入っていくことができます。
And Mahaprabhu's mercy is so powerful that it will act automatically in your life.
でマハプラブの慈悲は非常に大きいですから、私たちは自動的にそのような恩恵に預かることができます。
And even better than being a servant of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is to become a servant of Lord Chaitanya's servants.
で、主ジャイタニア・マハプラブの召使いになるということは、マハプラブの召使いの召使いになる。
Because there's a principle that says, if you love me, love my dog.
でその原則というのは、私を愛するのであれば、
And in the last few days, Indranuja Prabhu and I have proved this here right in Tokyo.
でインドネシアプラブがそのことを東京で見せてくれました。
We went for a couple of walks in Tokyo.
何回かを歩いていました。
And every time we see someone with a dog, we say good morning.
でいつも出会った時には、
And even though we say good morning, people are a little bit serious. They don't smile or anything. They just say good morning.
である人は真面目にとって、そしてまた微笑みしてくる人もいました。
But then we point to their dog and we say, that is a really cute dog.
そして彼がその犬をパンプした時に、あれは That is a
Kawaii.
すごく可愛い犬だ。
Kawaii no inu desu.
かわいい。
And they stop and a big smile comes on their face.
でその時にその人は非常に顔に微笑みを浮かべます。
And you can try this today. Wherever you go, you stop and tell somebody, that is the best dog I've ever seen in my life.
であなたはこのことを今日やってみてください。
I guarantee you that every person you tell that to,
人にやった時にも
they'll instantly become your friend.
かわいいねって言うと、そうするとその人とはすぐに友達になることができます。
So Krishna loves his devotees.
クリシュナはですから私たちに教えています。
And if you try to serve and love Krishna's devotees, then Krishna will immediately bestow his mercy on you.
もし私たちがクリシュナの献身者に奉仕をすれば、そうすればクリシュナは私たちのいろいろな煩いを取ってくださる。
And these practices are mentioned in the scripture, and one can take them up.
そして私たちは経典に書いてあることを修練して、そしてそれを毎日やって、
And now we'll take a couple of reflections or questions.
これから感想と質問の時間をします。
You look online too. Okay.
Can we explain more about material anxiety and spiritual anxiety?
Can we explain more about material anxiety and spiritual anxiety?
物質的な欲望と精神的な欲望は何でしょうか。
Material anxiety comes when I'm worried about my own sense gratification.
物質的なその心配というものは私たちの感覚満足というセンスが
And spiritual anxiety means that I'm worried that Krishna is not getting enough sense gratification.
クリシュナについていろいろ心配することは感覚。
For instance, if you're putting on a Janmashtami celebration,
で私たちはジャマスタミのお祝いをしました。
and you're in anxiety because you feel there's not enough flowers.
例えば十分お花がないとかいろいろ心配すると思います。
And you're thinking you can't go to sleep that night because you think it's not opulent enough for Krishna.
で 例えばもう眠ることができないほどいろいろ考えて、これではクリシュナのためには十分でないと心配するかもしれません。
Or if you're thinking that the sandesh, it should be smoother when it's offered to Krishna.
そしてまたこれは非常にそのスムーズに進んではいないのではないかと、クリシュナのために進んでないんじゃないかと思うかもしれません。
Nobody likes grainy sandesh. It's supposed to be totally smooth.
で、そのようなことを考える必要はありません。全ての
And if you can't
本当にスムーズに進んでいます。
if you can't sleep at night because you're worried that there's too many little tiny lumps in the sandesh that's being offered to the deities, that's Krishna anxiety.
で、私たちがクリシュナのためにいろいろとやったこと、そしてまたサンデーシを作っても、それはクリシュナが食べてくださいます。
And one of Prabhupada's disciples, a woman devotee, used to worship Radha Govinda in New York.
で、ニューヨークでラダ・ゴビンダを礼拝している女性のディボーティーがいます。
New York gets really cold.
ニューヨークは非常に寒いです。
So she was worried that when she'd take the clothes to dress the deity, that they were too cool on those cold winter mornings.
で、彼女は思いました。こんな寒い中で、ディティがこのような着ていることは非常に寒すぎるのではないか。
She made a special arrangement. She would take the iron and get the iron warmed up, and then she'd put the clothes on the iron before she put them on the deities.
そして、彼女はその時に、アイロンで
服を温めて、
温めた服を、それ温めた服を着せました。
Because she was in anxiety that, how can I put these cold clothes onto the transcendental body of the Lord?
で、彼女は思いました。こんなに寒い日に冷たい服を着せることはどうしてもできない。
There's a story in the Chaitanya Charitamrita about
で、チャイタムタの中に、一つ物語があります。
what is his name? He appeared to be an enjoyer externally, but a friend of Mukunda, Pundarik Vidyanidhi. On Odanashasti, he went to see Lord Jagannath, and he saw that the pujaris had offered new clothes that were still starched. They're like right off of the mill, and they still have starch in them. They offered those to the deity.
その時、ですね、それはジャガナッタプリンで、ディティに捧げるための布があったんですけれども、その布は糊で非常に硬くなっていて、その新しい布なんですけれども、非常に硬くなっている布をディティには作られない。
And this put him in great anxiety.
で、その時、いろいろと心配しました。
And he became a little hateful of the pujaris. He was thinking, why they're doing this?
そのように考えていることをちょっと嫌に思いました。
And that night, Lord Jagannath and Balaram came to him in a dream.
で、その夜、シューチャガラとバラガラムがそこにやっていました。
They said, who do you think you are criticizing my pujari?
で、プジャルを批判するような、
and,
そのような人は誰だと思う。
and Jagannath and Baladev started smacking his face.
で、彼はその人の顔をスマッシュしました。
And the next day he had red cheeks because he had been smacked so many times by Balaram and Krishna in his dream.
そして次の日に彼はクリシュナとバララムが夢の中に出たということを話しました。
He tried to hide it, but all the devotees knew what had happened.
で、彼はそれをディボーティーから全部無視しています。
So the devotees have this anxiety all the time that Krishna should be worshipped better, and they're worried: is the temple clean enough? Are we doing it, enough to please Krishna? And this is the anxiety of the spiritual world. It's the opposite of nirvana, that I don't have any desire at all.
で、ディボーティーは言いました。いろいろと心配すること、そしてまたいろいろなことがきれいに出されていない、そのようなことを心配することはニルバーナである。そのいろいろな感情がない、いろいろな欲望がない
And material anxiety means that I'm worried that I'm not being glorified enough.
で、物的な心配というものは、私はみんなから称賛されていないと思う。
Why is that other devotee being glorified? He didn't do as much as I did.
他の人は褒められているのに私はちょっと褒められていない。
And that's related to one's own sense of false ego.
そしてそれがそれに抱えることが私たちを偽のエゴの方へと連れてきます。
Any last point? Yes.
最後のポイントとして。
最後のポイント。
5 minutes. It's important to spend at least, if you don't have time, at least spend 5 minutes a day for devotional practice. And what you said, to make a wedge.
Yeah.
Very important if you're like in a tight space and difficult situation. You got to start with a wedge.
Yeah.
And we cannot practice bhakti 24 hours, but that's the goal. And that's not practical for a neophyte.
So start somewhere.
Start somewhere. And yeah, Srila Prabhupada gave us that.
Let's see if she got all that for so far. Kikimasu ka? Kikimashita ka?
はい、聞いた説明してください。
He said, at least do, if you're thinking I can't do any bhajan today, at least do 5 minutes.
何も私はまだまだできないと思った時には少なくとも5分になってください。
Start with something that's so small that your mind says, anybody could do that.
ほんの少しのところから始めていけば、そうすれば誰でもそれはできることです。
Don't neglect to do what you can do just because you can't do everything you think you have to do.
私が何もできないと考えれば、そのことは全てのことがあなたができないというふうに思ってしまいます。
Navina Nirada Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Kali Yuga is back.
Welcome to Navina Nirada Prabhu, back to Japan after 5 years.
So Kali Yuga is a bad time, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has made the process easy.
カリュラがすごいね、悪い時だけど、チェタニャマハプルがすごく簡単にしてくれました。
So we're very fortunate. We have a Lord who is very kind.
すごくね、もう私たち幸運なんですよって。
Otherwise, no.
そうじゃなかったら私たちも不可能ですよ。
Thank you. Thank you to everybody. Did you have one last thing, or is that?
Can I ask?
Yeah.
Like my so while somebody is there,
I'll answer in 30
誰か質問
seconds.
ですか？
ハレクリシナ。
はい。
はい。聞こえますか？いや、
はいはい
山田さん。
Oh, Jamuna-san.
山田ちゃん。Before I ask about Sunday feast,
Yeah.
I just met Vaisesika Prabhu, and then I become consciousness up, very up consciousness.
That's what I felt about Jamuna. I sat next to her for the bhajan and I felt,
そう思いましたよって。
それで私は答えを聞き
yeah.
Then I find out myself answer. ブルーバッシャーとか。
これまバクティやハーボテアビジャビナシャヤって
うんうん。
願いやハラチャリところでそうかなと思ったんですが、でシリマドバーガタムでその経典に説明されているところが
シマバータンで explain about this,
グルの質、そういう
about quality of guru. え？
グルのそういう質が説明してある部分だったら教えてください。
So she want to learn about the quality of guru in the Srimad and explain. I want to know about this because of this come from answer about why I met you only one time, then become consciousness up, you know. So this answer is something I find out about Guru Vaisesika song.
Oh.
But I want to know from you to explain about this quality of Guru.
Well,
From Srimad Bhagavatam.
Krishna, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Maharaj Satyavrata, when he finds the Matsya fish,
マツヤのね、魚のフィッシュを見たとき、
and then he realizes it's the Supreme Personality of Godhead,
これはもう最高人格心だなって分かった。
he offers prayers to the Lord.
クリシュナへの祈りで。
And he says that you are the original Guru, you're the Adi Guru.
あなたはアディグル、オリジナルなグルですって。
Said, anyone who represents you, then they're also Guru, but you're the Adi Guru.
あなたを代表するものすべてのもうあなたのグルですって。
And we find that the secret of what Krishna's desire is intention in the Gayatri mantras.
まあ、クリシュナの望みっていうのはガヤトリマントラの中にあるんですよ。
In the word prachodayat,
プリチョーダヤ。
which means to enthuse others,
なんとか。
to become enthused. Enthusiasm,
熱意。
utsahan.
熱意ね。ウツハン。
Krishna just wants to enthuse living entities so they can practice devotional service.
クリシュナはみんな生命体を熱意を持たせたいわけですよ。そしたら
Encourage.
献身方針にね従事できるように啓発している。
So those who make it their life business to encourage and enthuse others to worship Krishna, they're gurus.
だから他の生命体にすごい啓発を与えて献身方針に従事させようとしている人がグルです。
And it's the best work that you can get in this very dark world.
この真っ暗なね世の中で一番のすることがそれですね。
Working hard to become satisfied by making money or position is a waste of time.
まあこの世の中でねお金持ちになったりねそういう地位が高くしたりってそういうのはもう本当に最悪のことですね。
But if you use your energy to enthuse others to worship Lord Chaitanya, then that's the best work and it's the most effective.
だから他の人をねすごく啓発させて献身法人従事させるっていうことをしていることはもう最も大切なことです。
So Prabhupada writes that everyone should become a guru devotee.
だからプラパダ言ってますけどみんながグルと献身者になること。
Which means you should encourage yourself by doing daily devotional practices like hearing and chanting.
だから今チャンティングとかしてるように自分自身が練習訓練をしなきゃいけない。
Just so that you can encourage others.
ただ他の人を啓発すればいいんです。
And anyone who does that is guru.
その人がグルなんです。
I rest my case. Chaitanya Mangala, thank you for such nice translation.
どうもありがとうございます。チェンタンマンガイさん。
And let's welcome Gita Govinda back to Tokyo.
いつまでいますか？
私19までいます。
今日まで？
またちょっとビジネスに入らないといけない。
明後日だから。
So the homework for today is to Shukadai wa.
宿題は、
Please encourage someone in devotional service.
献身方針に誰かをね啓発させてください。
Start with yourself.
自分自身をはじめ、
Give yourself a little pep talk.
自分自身をねまた啓発して。
And you have to encourage at least one person
一人だ
today
けでも今日ね啓発してくださいね。
to do devotional service.
献身方針。
Gaur Premanande,
ハリハリボー。
Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo, Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Panchakoptarusha Kripasanabhe Vishapatitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nantakoti Vaishnavinigijai. And thank you to everyone who joined us online from various places in the world. Hare Krishna.
Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman. Nachari ar marman, nachari ar marman, hey, nachari ar marman, nachari ar marman, nachari ar marman, nachari ar marman.